G'day guys, how you going? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Sean, and in today's video we're going to be doing something a little bit different, which is a personal PC update video slash mini review of the computer inside of this new case from DeepCool. It's the DeepCool MACUBE 310P in white, and just how everything has been going for gaming, for streaming, and for video editing, especially now that I've got this new 2070 Super installed as well. So going to be letting you know, I guess, how, like I said, things have been going in terms of like thermals, about the things that I do and don't like about this case. So stick around, make sure if you like this kind of content, hit the like button, get subscribed, and let's begin. Alrighty guys, so before I jump into the review and everything, I thought you guys might just find this interesting to see my current situation and setup for, I guess, making this video and my room and how it's currently set up. So we've got a few, I guess, lights over there. We've got the desk, the IKEA Bacan desk, which I've been using for a long time now at its full height, so I can actually, I guess, stand and point and, you know, move things around nice and easy. The keen-eyed among you might notice that none of the fans are currently spinning. However, I can show you that the computer is currently turned on, and it is currently working, and I'll explain a little bit more about the fan stop feature that I've recently discovered and why I think that is such a cool thing, because I don't think enough people are really talking about this particular feature. The case itself, again, the DeepCool MACUBE 310 case in white, and I mean, I'm using a gimbal here at the moment, so you'll have to forgive me if there's any stuttering or any weird movement, is because I'm doing all of this myself. I don't usually have my computer up on the desk here. As you can probably imagine, it wouldn't make any sense being in front of the iMac. Usually it's down here on a set of drawers. And I mean, it does look like it's a long way down, but as I said before, the desk can go up and down. I thought it just would be easier for this video for it to be up on the desk. Now with the case, this is a, I guess, mid ATX tower. It does fit a full ATX motherboard, which is what I currently have inside of it. And personally, I'm actually really digging the all white color scheme. I know it might seem like a little bit hard to see there, but on the top here, we've got some mesh here. This is the performance version. So it does allow for the, I guess, inside fans to exhaust out the hot air through the top. You've got two USB 3s at the top there, and you've also got your power and reset buttons, as well as headphone and microphone. On the back side panel here, rear side panel, don't know how you want to call it that, to cover up all the cables, you've got a solid white, I guess, panel there as well, a white panel here at the front, and then it's kind of interesting to sort of show you on camera, but you've actually got some, I'll just point here with my finger, you've actually got some intake vents here as well, and some vents here at the top. So I'll just move the camera up there. So you've got some vents here along the top to exhaust, and some intake vents here on both sides to actually suck the air in. So all in all, the case is quite solid. It's a bit smaller than the one that I used to use, which was the Matrix 70 at RGB3F, but personally I'm actually really enjoying this case being a little bit smaller. Now, one of my absolute favorite features of this case in particular is the fact that it is truly a toolless case. So one of my favorite things about it, for example, the glass side panel here, which if I try and get this in focus, it does say like GamerStorm up there, as it's one of their gaming series products or GamerStorm series products. Is you can actually just go ahead and, I mean, if I try and move with this little lip here, you can probably see, it's probably hard to show, but there's a little lip here, and you can actually just go ahead, let me just move this back down. You can actually just go ahead and pull the side panel off, as there are two magnets on the top here. And if I pull this down, let me just move the gimbal down. There's a couple magnets here as well that actually just hold, whoops, the case on. So that is something that I really, really like, is not having to muck around with thumb screws at the back or anything like that. If you just want to get in and just quickly clean the glass, just pull this off and then just lift it straight out. Seems really hard to do this on camera. And then you can just go ahead and, you know, lay this down and put it on the ground somewhere, for example, next to that little desk that I've got there. So now that You've got the glass off, you can get inside, you can touch things, you can move things, rearrange things, although I wouldn't really recommend it while the computer's on, obviously, but that is something that I do really like. Something else that I really like about this case is that you've got this full shroud here to cover up all the messy cables that you might have left over from your cable management job, so no one has to see that. You've got a little cutout here for your power supply. So the power supply that I'm using is the DeepCool, I think it's the 850 watt modular power supply from DeepCool. And then inside of the case, in terms of what you can fit inside of it, you can see it's pretty fully loaded here. So we've got the ASUS ROG Strix 2070 Super. We've got the DeepCool Castle 360 millimeter radiator. You'll also notice that this is the white version, which does come with white fans, but I've swapped them out for black fans as I actually broke one of the fan blades, unfortunately. So I've actually swapped it out for 3 black fans, which I think still look really good. And then at the top here, if I move this around, you can see that we've got 3 more RGB fans along the top. So these are all 120 mil. So 120, 120, 120, 120, 120, and 120. And then another RGB 120 millimeter fan at the back. So in terms of, I guess, cooling performance, it runs so good that with this huge radiator, I can actually run everything for the most part during the day without any of the fans spinning at all. In order to do that, you do have to have a supported motherboard. So the one that I'm using right now is the ASUS, I think it's the X570-P motherboard for, I guess, the AMD platform, which supports the 0 fan RPM mode. So as long as the temperatures are low enough and they're all plugged into the motherboard, then you can actually go ahead and enable that 0 RPM feature. So that way it's really silent when it's just idling like it is now, or it will actually start kicking up and spinning and start working harder when you might be gaming or streaming. Something else to note here, we've got some G.Skill Trident Z RGB memory. This is a 16 gigabyte kit, so 8 gig per stick, and it's obviously RGB as well. And everything you can see here at the moment is currently synced using the ASUS Aura Sync software, which I'm a big fan of because it does really look nice when you can go ahead and synchronize all of your different hardware components together to create a theme which might fit your mood or the vibe that you're trying to create in your room. All right, so let me now spin it around onto the other side of the case here, which is going to be a bit difficult and it's going to look a little bit nasty. But again, you can just go ahead and remove the panel for the side of the case just by pulling it off. It does have some magnets to hold on to, and there's some little plugs here that go in to sort of hook on and latch in. So I'll just pull this panel off and sit that down somewhere. And I might actually have to go ahead and just reposition one of the lights so you guys can properly see what's currently going on in the back here. So just give me 1 second. All right, so as you can see in the back here, it is a bit of a mess because honestly, I pull apart my computer and build inside of different cases, I feel like on a monthly basis, so I don't go to too much effort for cable management, which is not, I think, a big deal. But you can see here that I've got my Kingston 500 gig SSD mounted on the back side of the case, and then we've also got a 1 terabyte Seagate hard drive buried in there, and then we've got obviously all the different power cables and RGB cables for respective components. They do include some zip ties here, which is really nice for sort of managing some of the front I/O and some of those connectors. The only thing, I just should really say that I hope that they improve for the next one is up the top here, these magnets don't seem to really stick out far enough to actually latch on to the side panel. So it does mean that you really have to make sure that your cable management is as good and as flat as possible in order for the side panel to really close up properly, as I had some issues trying to get the panel to stay on. I didn't really feel like the magnets were as strong compared to the other side with the glass. I think they've obviously done that because they know that if the glass falls and breaks, it's an issue. I just wish that maybe they allowed a few more millimeters just for these magnets to maybe stick out a little bit to give you a little bit more room for cable management. So that's the side. And then I guess the front panel, again, you can go ahead and remove this for screwing in and mounting the fans to the radiator. So that's not an issue at all. This part here doesn't have any magnets. It's just essentially, you just pull it off and there's, I guess, little clips for, I guess, each side of the front panel here. So all in all, it's a pretty tidy little computer, which I think, you know, personally, the white and black theme, hence why I've got these white extensions here for the 24 pin, the 8 pin, and the EPS connectors. I think that really sort of ties in the whole look. All right, so now let's talk about the thermals. So as mentioned before, I don't know if I actually said it, sorry, this is a Ryzen 5 2600 CPU, so that's 6 cores and 12 threads. Probably should do an upgrade at some point to something a little bit better with more cores for video editing, but at the moment, this CPU has been absolutely awesome. It's been great for streaming, for video editing, for gaming. Haven't really had any complaints, and it is really, really good value as well. So with none of the fans spinning and everything sort of sitting at idle, so you know, this is not some sort of illusion or some sort of trick I'm trying to play. The temperatures here, if I try and get this in focus on the screen, 1 second. You can see here that the CPU, motherboard, and CPU package are all below 50 degrees Celsius, which, I mean, I know for some of you might seem like it's a little bit too high, but you have to consider here that absolutely none of the fans are spinning. And then if we extend that over to the graphic card as well, let me just change this screen. You can see here that the graphic card is sitting at around about 53 degrees Celsius. It's currently not doing anything. We've got the 0 dB fan mode currently turned on as well. So that means that with this computer being absolutely silent, even the temperatures inside of this case are nothing too crazy, are well within reason. And as soon as it hits around about 50 or 55 degrees Celsius, I think it's 55, all of those fans will start spinning. But if you want to, with the software from ASUS, this is the ASUS AI Suite software. And I'm usually not too much of a fan of bloatware or unnecessary programs, and usually setting up everything in the BIOS, but this program's been really helpful because if I want to manually go ahead and, for example, put it onto the standard profile, all of those spins will start kicking up. Even the, if I try and move this around a little bit so you can see the actual, I guess, radiator fans as well, which are really, really hard to see at the moment because they're black on black, or black on white, I should say, but everything is now spinning and working. And this ASUS, I guess, software for managing your different profiles is really, really good. So let me now fire up a game, and just so you can sort of see how things are going and sort of what sort of temperatures that we're getting inside of this case with this current hardware. All right, so we're currently loading up a game of Fortnite just in the solo battle royale mode to just give you an indicator on the performance and the thermals and how everything is running. So this is using the MSI Afterburner and Riva Tuner software. The monitor, even though it is a 4K monitor, this is the LG 4K FreeSync monitor. We've got it set to 2560 by 1440p. 2560 by 1440 or 1440p. The 3D resolution is set to 100%. We've got the settings in the game set to high for everything. All of the fans are currently spinning and doing a bit of work, and we've got VSync turned off as well. So if I can, I guess, get nice and close here, you can see the GPU and CPU are both sitting around about 64, 65 degrees. GPU is about 65, CPU is around about 50. And I mean, the GPU percentage is around about 80, 90%, CPU is about 30, 40%. There are some benchmarks if you do want to see, I guess, more games tested in my previous video, which I'll leave a link to that, I guess, up in the corner. So if you want to go back and check that out, you can definitely do that. But all in all, this computer running games like Fortnite or Call of Duty, using the new NVENC encoder to stream them as well, has been an absolute godsend, because honestly it just takes so much work off the CPU, and it means that you can now get such a really, really good performing computer with a CPU that I think costs around about $150 to $200. depending on, I guess, where you're looking and which country you're from. And you can pair that up with a decent graphic card and you can get 1440p or 4K gaming in 2020, which is what I'm doing, and it's been absolutely awesome. So in terms of frames per second, we're getting 120 frames per second consistently. Just, you know, looking around the map, everything is butter smooth. I would love to get a 144 hertz monitor at some point, just so that way we're not getting as much screen tearing in faster games like Call of Duty, for example. So I think that might be on the shopping cart for my next video. All right, so I'm gonna love you and leave you now and pack up everything, and that way I can maybe play some games for the rest of the afternoon, but we'll see how it goes. The things that I will probably upgrade in the future, or things that I'm looking forward to upgrading next, would be the SSD drive. To get an NVMe drive would be great. Get rid of the 2.5 inch and 3.5 inch drives that are in the system. Maybe another 16 gig of RAM and maybe a CPU upgrade, but I think that's still gonna be a little while away. The monitor, I guess a 144Hz 1440p monitor would be great. 4K has been awesome. I haven't really hated having a 4K monitor. It's been absolutely awesome for video editing and for getting a lot onto the panel, but I think 1440p 144Hz is definitely the sweet spot. So let me know what you guys think. Do you like this setup? Do you like the computer? Do you like the case? Any questions at all, just let me know in the comment section. Like this video if you liked it, get subscribed, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.